If you've really been missing in-person events and are looking forward to some really great entertainment right here in the Eastern Townships, well, we've got a great musical theater production that's coming up, and we're going to tell you all about it right now. There really is something to be said about, live events, that human connection, the great energy. And then if you add to the mix, some great young actors and a hilarious and very topical story, well, you get a great musical theater production that's created right here in the townships. Now, Wade Lynch is directing the upcoming Bishop's University production of Speech and Debate. Now, it's kind of an interesting title, and it's a great play, and he's with us today to tell us all about it and, of course, how you can get tickets. Here we go. Well, good afternoon, Wade, and welcome back to About Townshippers.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, good to see you. Hey, Wade, at first glance, Speech and Debate seems a lot more like a public speaking club. And so when I learned that it's actually a theater production, it makes it all that much more intriguing. So without telling us, too much, maybe give us a glance into what the play's about.
It's interesting you should say that, because when I was doing my research for the play, I went back to when it was originally produced, which was 2007, and read reviews about it. And the New York Times, who loved the play, started off the review by saying it's the worst title of all time because it sounds so dry and off-putting and sort of old. And really, it's kind of a joke. You have to see the play to understand why they called it that, because this play unites three miscast characters, these high school students who are brought together by a personal tragedy and circumstance, and they're trying to find a way through these horrible things that have happened to them. And it suggested that they get together by forming a speech and debate club at their school. The idea is not appealing to any of them, but in the end, this opportunity to meet regularly binds these characters together, and they're quite disparate. They don't like each other initially, but this drawing together within the confines, and there's just the three of them in this club at high school, provides an opportunity for disclosure, for coming together as friends. So it's really the device that unites these three.
Well, public speaking will do that to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you mentioned there's three characters, but if I'm not mistaken, there's a lot of text, in this particular play. So being so few actors in the play, what are some of the challenges that they're facing?
Well, that's exactly it. This play runs 100 minutes according to the author, and we're trying to keep it to that. And there's really four actors. So one female actor plays two adult parts, and then the other three divide the story. It is just, and it's all of these characters love words, and they all speak well. That's why the speech and debate works for them. But there's a lot of memory work. There's 12 scenes, and they're on stage virtually all the time. So, and the dialogue is clever. They have to speak over one another, and there's in-jokes and political jokes. So accuracy, it's like Shakespeare. You've got to memorize. You can't paraphrase this stuff. So the need to memorize is huge. And that's a burden for students who also, have other classes outside of mine, heaven forbid. So it really is an enormous time commitment.
Taking into consideration the present, the health crisis that seems to have no end, how did you guys approach the selection and the audition process in the middle of a pandemic?
Yeah, well, that is a challenge, and it has been for every university, but I can speak about it specifically with Bishop's, because we have hybrid programs, including in performance. So it meant that you have to register and be accepted into the class before you can audition. But with 5 parts from all the students, we had to be very careful. When we started it, we had to audition before the program begins, because you hit the day one rehearsing. You've got to get right on your feet. So it meant that we had to rehearse in person with those who were available on campus, observing COVID protocol. So we have to check for the passports, the COVID passports, and we have to use masks and disinfecting. Fortunately, we could say, because it's hard to audition with a mask on, as you can imagine, and we need to see articulators, we need to hear. So we had to do it further back than we ever would, and permit them to take the mask off for their audition and then put it right back on, and escort them in and out and disinfect between each. Plus, we have international students who were coming to to be in class for the day. So I had auditions from Switzerland and Vermont and Taiwan who were auditioning virtually, right? So they did a Zoom audition, which is kind of becoming common practice anyway, because it's much cheaper than having going city to city. But it's tough because you can't really interact with them. You can't see the faces well enough. And one of the most important things we do in audition is see how well they respond to direction, which is much harder to do over a camera than it is in person. But we made it work. And this, because there's music in the show, there's two really funny musical numbers. They also had to sing. So getting music cues linked up and getting to see, right, then there's the delay, so the music's coming and they're a measure behind. Yeah. but we then I've got to say, these students are exceptional. I say that every year, but they're so committed to this idea that they would do anything. They're self-taping. Sometimes they would send them in, they do live. They just really want to make it work. And those are the skills they need once they graduate, because it's a whole new world out there as far as theater goes.
What does it mean to you? And in your opinion, what does it mean to the students to be able to finally practice in person and present a live production?
There is nothing better than what we're facing now, because there's some students who are in third year who've not been on stage yet, because for almost 2 years we haven't been able to congregate, right? Myself too. I'm a teacher, but I'm an actor. I lost 7 contracts because of COVID, and with just this summer we got a chance to perform out in Lennoxville, and the opportunity to perform again is like, oh my goodness, I forgot how wonderful it is. So that we can send these students on stage in their time here at Bishop's is phenomenal. And the first time we actually, I'm getting choked up thinking about it, we got to get on our feet and be actors again and interact. It was, people were weeping because they missed it so much. The isolation is terribly has a terrible negative impact, especially on young people who need to congregate, who need their friends. So to bring them together in a common space, working towards the goal of making art for the public is just thrilling. It really is.
And theater is and acting is such a visceral, in here type of thing anyways.
Yeah.
I could see how people would be so overwhelmed to start again.
Yeah. And, on a project like this, you really become family quickly, which is one of the themes of the show. But it's so true, because you're all taking a risk together. They all agree to get on stage and do their best. And it's always a risk, because there's always that variable. It's not film and television. We can't cut and edit. We can't do retakes. It's live. And taking that risk is better faced in numbers. There is safety in numbers. So them getting together to take this risk is so unifying. It's, it changes their lives. These you can see these students becoming friends forever, and the support they give each other is, I wish you could package and sell it, because unlike in commercial theater, where we're in the process of getting the job, it's quite competitive and unpleasant until you're together on stage, and then you become family. And that's what we're seeing now. And we're giving them that opportunity to really go out there and take that risk together.
What's the expression? Giving them roots and wings?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what it is. It's corny as heck, but that's exactly what it is.
I actually got it on a Christmas card, I think, or a card that I sent to my mom, but I use it all.
God bless Hallmark. Oh.
Yeah, right. Now, Wade, you've been, you're a director, you're a coach, you're a teacher, you're an actor, and you've been doing work in Canadian theater for probably longer than you want to admit.
Absolutely.
30 years or more.
Yep.
And you've been doing it right from coast to coast, right from the Maritimes to Alberta, through Ontario, you're in Quebec, you've had some stops in New York. Now, what drew you to this particular play?
Well, because one thing, it is the most unlikely comedy, because what unites the three principal characters in the story is what happens when they each discover that one of their high school teacher is a predator, a sexual predator. And they find out because he's trolling young men, boys, online. So it's a very topical story right now. It's something we can certainly relate to, but it's so funny. These characters are so funny. Their language is so funny. You know, this is pee in your pants funny. And though when these kids come together and decide how to make art, and at one point, one of our characters writes a musical about Mary Warren, who's a play from The Crucible, going back in time to meet young Abraham Lincoln, who might be gay, and she writes a musical about it. It's just hilarious. So to find that, to give the students a play that is about young people, that they're people their age virtually, that is dealing with really important issues. I mean, online trolling, this was written in 2007, so it's gotten even worse. You know, the technology is even more invasive. So to tell a story that equips young people to look out for that kind of danger, instructs them on how to, and this is like pre Me Too movement, right? This is pre when it was written. Right now, it's incredibly relatable. So that story, and that it's young and funny and musical, it's like, you know, there's no way I'm not doing this show.
So what can you tell us? How can we get tickets? When is it going to be showing, and all the important details?
Right. So we're going November 17th to 21st. That's Wednesday through Sunday. We haven't decided if there's 7:30 or 8 p.m. shows, but when you book your tickets, they'll tell you.
Okay.
And the way to do that, let me look down my cheat sheet here. Our box office number is 819-822-9692. And you can also order tickets through our email address, which is CENTH, that's Centennial Theatre, CENTH@ubishops.ca. Ticket prices are $15 regularly or $10 for students and seniors.
Boy,
My pitch.
Make this into an infomercial. Well, as we usually, we'll put all the information in the video description. Now,
Right.
Now Wade Lynch. Now you wear a lot of hats. Now you're professor, director, and coach in the Theatre and Arts Administration program at Bishop's University, right here in Lennoxville, Quebec. You also coordinate Bishop's Lifelong Learning Academy,
That's
and
right.
of course, you're directing the upcoming production of Speech and Debate. So, as my dad says, it's been a treat. You know, it's always good to talk to you. So we'll get the word out, and you know, break a leg. I think that's how they say it.
That's the right one. Thank you.
Good. So so take care, and and hopefully we'll all get a chance to go and see the play.
Thanks, Ed. We really appreciate the support. It's tremendous.
You bet. You take care.
You too. Bye now.
And there you go. Speech and Debate, a great musical comedy with an equally unique title, and it's right here in the Townships. And it's playing at Bishop's University. So for showtimes and to buy tickets for you, your friends, your family members, your neighbors, your uncle, your aunt, and whoever comes into mind, well, take a look at the video description because all the details are there. Now, if you enjoy this type of content, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And you can expect new interviews to be posted regularly, all with the same objective, with the same goal in mind, highlighting the people and the services of the Eastern Townships English-speaking community. My name is Ed Humphrey. This is About Townshippers, and we'll see you next time.